So I am a psychologist and I'm not a therapist, but I do work, basically I serve people who are on the front lines of planetary existential change. I call it existential change, but it's basically the work that we're here to do, whether it's water, waste, circularity, energy, forestry. It's all related to existential work. And I believe that we're at a moment right now, especially at this time, where we're really being asked to evolve and to consider who we are as humans and as a collective. And so for this session, I want to really invite this notion of what if we are the technology that we're looking for? So this is human stuff. We're in this situation because of human beings. Each of us are humans. And, it's going to be us who really get ourselves out of these variety of crises. And so my invitation as doers and solutioneers and people who are so dedicated, what if we turn our attention a bit to the human dimension, which is what this entire day is dedicated to. This day is about engagement. It's about storytelling. It's about narrative. It's about feelings. And so I really invite us to consider. It's hard to learn if you already know. So Amy Edmondson is a colleague of mine, and it's really inviting us into a humility mindset, because we all know a lot. So it's hard to learn if you already know. So let's just be open today and in this session and see what comes up for you. So really this question is, how are you navigating this moment? Like, how are you? And how are we doing at this time? And I want to suggest that this is a time of reflection. And I want to really invite us to consider how reflection, which today is going to be full of, is really a precursor for skillful action. So what we're doing here, taking a step back from our lives and all the stuff we've got going on, is the necessity for skillful action. And how do we bring that into our work and our ways of working and how we do what we do? And I think we're being called at this time especially to reflect. So I want to offer this premise that was contributed by a colleague of mine, Ashley Consolo. This was published in The Lancet in 2020, which is to consider how the feelings that might be coming up for us and the people that we work with, feelings of ecological grief and anxiety, although uncomfortable, are the crucible. And there's a very powerful reframe here, which is to say we don't have to always keep things really up, right? That it's okay for us and others to really have that confrontation, because it is a catalyzing capacity, right, that we have. But the question is, how do we do this skillfully? And I want to also suggest that the capacity for transformation really does exist in the context of safe and empathetic relationships, so such as here. But again, this day is about engagement. It's about who you're working with, who your stakeholders are, and recognizing that, we do need certain conditions to process and face hard stuff. So this question I have for us is, what do we mean by this term engagement? And to me, the only way to answer that is to really get into some psychology, right? Engagement is about humans, it's about relationships, it's about psychology. So a few truths about human beings. I'm just throwing out some stats because these are irrefutable statistics that should and can change everything about what you do and how you do it. So one is that people are more receptive to new information in the context of social connection rather than when we push it at people. Okay, so that's just a given. We're more receptive in the context of relationship. How we feel is a gateway to our thinking and learning. So again, this is kind of putting in place the primacy of our feelings, and that it's okay as leaders to engage with our feelings. It's okay, especially now, to engage and acknowledge our feelings because it is the gateway to action. And third is that people are many times more likely to resist change when they feel it's being imposed rather than developed collaboratively. So this, I'm going to suggest, is what engagement is about. But what I want to suggest as well is that this requires us to level up. This requires us to also learn some new skills, to train ourselves and others to know how do we cultivate these spaces that allow millions of people to face what is hard. And whether it's plastics, water, forestry, whatever, this is hard stuff. So yes, we have solutions, but it's more complex than that. So one of the tools I use, which I'm going to talk about today in an interactive workshop, is looking at how we show up, and that oftentimes we fall into these modalities, and there's nothing wrong. I'm not saying this is bad, but basically we have a cheerleading mode, we have a writing mode. So cheerleading is like, I have to make sure that you feel really excited and happy all the time. Writing is, I'm going to just tell you, like push at you, why it's the right thing to do, that kind of like that energy. There's the educating mode, which I'm going to tell you all the information and statistics because then you have to get it, that we have to do something. And what I want to suggest is that there's another way. And that other way is what I call guiding. And guiding is when we really take a more relational approach. And instead of writing and cheerleading or what I call yelling, telling, and selling, how do we actually guide? And I want to invite us to be really humble here and compassionate about this, but honest. When are you yelling, telling, or selling? And what does it mean to guide? And guiding has a lot to do with attunement, which is the theme of this session, right? Attunement is your capacity to really sense what is happening for the people that we are working with. What is their anxiety? What is their ambivalence? What are their aspirations? So really this is related to changing our theories of change or up-leveling our theories of change. And I have these, let me go back. So for decades now, people working on planetary environmental stuff, we've been trying a lot of different things. Okay, and so again, this moment to be reflective and to have some humility. So I've created this kind of quadrant a while ago, which can be helpful to kind of look at these tendencies, these theories of change. And one of them is to think about, we have to focus on behavior. We have to change people's behavior, right? Then there's the messaging. We have to tell better stories, which is today. Messaging, storytelling, framing, if only we can get that right. And then we've got a lot of people here who are very focused on impact and solutions and technology and innovation, all super important. And what's starting to happen more and more is that there's a recognition we also need experience, which I know Louis talked about, and I've seen your work, and it's like, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about our feeling, our experience going from here to here, from here to here. And so as I close, because we need to move on, I want to invite us to, I'm actually not going to talk about these now, but I will this afternoon. I want to invite us to just take a moment, right? Because I've just shared a bunch of stuff. And what I'm wanting to really land here is that a lot of this work really does come down to this, to our feeling. And it's not to undermine this. But I want to invite you today, and even right now, to connect with this. Why are you here right now? What brought you here? And do we have time to do a little quick thing? Okay. So as you connect, and if you want to, you can like close your eyes or whatever, and I like to really touch my heart, but feel into this, into your heart, and into your feeling from your head. Why are you here? And what brought you here? Like, what is it? Is it love? Is it protection? Is it responsibility? Is it anger? Is it But what brought you here? What brings you here to this work? And just land that with maybe one or two words or sensations that might be coming up for you. This is leadership. This is what it means to be a leader right now, is feel into why are you here? And then what I would like to invite you to do very briefly is just turn to someone next to you and just share very briefly in one or two words what came up for you and why are you here right now. So just like a minute per person, and then we'll transition into the next session. All right? Go ahead and just turn to someone next to you and just share what came up for you. Okay, thank you, thank you. Coming back to the room and just notice what that's like, just to connect on that level. And I want to invite you to take that energy with you through the day and through the next few days. When you're having these conversations, how are you feeling? Maybe start with that. So thank you so much. Enjoy your morning and your day.